The world is divided into two categories, the players and the pieces. You have felt this your entire life. You walk into a room and you feel invisible. You see certain people command attention without speaking. They get the opportunities, they get the respect, they get the power. And you work harder. You try to be nicer. You try to be competent, but you are ignored. You are left wondering why your talent isn't enough, why your goodness isn't rewarded. Here's the brutal truth. Power doesn't care about your intentions, it only cares about leverage. You think friendship or kindness will open doors. It won't. The powerful don't need friends, they need assets, mirrors, protection. If you want to move in their world, you must stop seeking validation. Stop asking permission to exist. Machiavelli wrote, "The prince," over 500 years ago, not for the weak, but for those who understand reality. Human nature is driven by self-interest, fear, and vanity. Ignore it, and you're a pawn. Master it, and you move the pieces. In this video, I'll show you 13 ruthless laws of connection, psychological weapons that will make you untouchable. Once you see the strings, you can never go back. You will stop being moved. You will become the one who moves the pieces. Let's begin. Law 1. Keep your plans hidden. Have you ever shared your plan too early, only to watch it fail? Told someone your goals, thinking it would build trust, and then watched them use it against you? Most people reveal too much, and it costs them more than they realize. Power begins in silence. Influence begins in discretion. Machiavelli knew this centuries ago. A prudent ruler must always seem straightforward and honest, but conceal his true intentions. Strategy is hidden. Success is measured in what you don't reveal. I once saw a rising manager announce his long-term vision to his team. He wanted transparency, loyalty, and collaboration. Within weeks, parts of his plan were leaked to competitors in the office. He had trusted too much, revealed too soon, and lost control before he even began. Think about your own life. That project you pitched prematurely, that time you told a colleague your next move. Even sharing your ideas online can be risky. Imagine posting a strategy update in a public forum and noticing someone influential subtly adjust their actions around it. That's power reacting to information before you're ready. Psychologists call this cognitive empathy mismatch, when you assume others perceive your goals as clearly and fairly as you do. Humans naturally interpret what they see through self-interest. Machiavelli recognized this instinctively. People rarely respond purely to intentions. They react to what benefits or threatens them. Revealing intentions costs you strategic advantage, surprise factor, negotiating power, influence over others, and sometimes opportunity itself. A startup founder once shared her pitch with a trusted mentor. The mentor nodded, smiled, gave advice, and months later launched a similar product with a better network. She had revealed her vision too early, believing transparency built loyalty. Instead, it built risk. The secret isn't deception, it's timing. Machiavelli explained, "He who is prudent and lies in wait gains what the bold cannot take openly." Concealment is not dishonesty, it's control. It's making sure your moves are effective before anyone can interfere. Speak selectively. Reveal just enough to inspire confidence, but never the full path. Let people see your competence, your commitment, your ethics, but not your destination or method. Let curiosity work in your favor. Uncertainty creates influence. The identity shift comes when you stop over-explaining yourself, when your actions carry weight before your words, when people respond to your moves, not your announcements. Influence becomes effortless because you control perception. Even in everyday life, this rule applies. A colleague who constantly asks what you're planning, a friend who probes every next step. Sharing too much gives others the power to act before you do. Control your intentions, and you control outcomes. Concealing your intentions is not about mistrust. It's about strategy, timing, influence, survival. And Machiavelli's centuries-old wisdom proves it works. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see, but few can feel. Let them see enough to admire, but never enough to interfere. Master this, and the power of your moves grows exponentially. You lead without announcing, act without revealing, and influence without forcing. You become a silent strategist, and in that silence, your authority speaks loudest. Law 2. Motivate through self-benefit, not compassion. Have you ever asked for a favor and expected gratitude, only to be disappointed? Believed kindness alone would win loyalty, and then been ignored? People respond to what benefits them, not your ideals. Machiavelli warned, men are driven more by fear and self-interest than by gratitude or mercy. If you rely on appeals to generosity or compassion, you gamble. But appeal to what motivates them, their self-interest, and you secure influence. I once saw a colleague ask a senior executive to support a new initiative, highlighting how it would help the team's morale. The executive nodded politely, then did nothing. Later, when the same proposal emphasized how the project increased revenue and visibility, approval came instantly. Facts didn't change, motivation did. Think about your life. Negotiations, requests, proposals. Appeals based on mercy or goodwill rarely succeed. Appeals framed around self-interest do. Even in personal relationships, the principle applies. Want someone's help? Show them what's in it for them. Not as manipulation, as understanding human nature. People are wired to act when they see personal gain. Ignoring self-interest costs you cooperation, opportunities, respect for your judgment, influence over outcomes, and sometimes your goals themselves. Machiavelli put it plainly, it is far safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. People rarely act out of pure kindness. They act when their interests align. Align yourself with that truth, and your influence becomes inevitable. The identity shift happens when you stop pleading for mercy and start designing outcomes people want. When your proposals naturally benefit others, resistance fades. Your requests feel logical, not optional. Frame influence around self-interest. Understand what motivates, and tailor your approach. Mercy and compassion alone are weak levers. Self-interest is power in motion. Master this, and you stop relying on hope or goodwill. You act strategically, you influence effectively, and you achieve results that mercy alone could never secure. Before we move to third law, if you're getting value from this, tap like and subscribe. It tells me to keep making videos like this. Law 3. Using absence as a strategy. Have you ever felt invisible despite always showing up? Constantly replying to messages, attending every call, volunteering for every project, yet nobody seems to notice? Presence alone isn't power. Absence can be. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. The presence of a prince is more valuable when it is rare. Scarcity creates respect. People naturally value what is limited. Consider a best-selling author I read about. Early in her career, she accepted every invitation, interviews, podcasts, online panels. She was everywhere. The audience was overwhelmed. Her insights got lost in the noise. Later, she limited her appearances, released fewer interviews, and only shared exclusive content. Suddenly, every time she spoke, the world listened. Her absence amplified her influence. Think about your own life. That friend who always responds immediately, never says no. Their voice blends into the background. Now think of someone who appears selectively. Their insights command attention. Absence creates demand. Even online, it's the same. A content creator who posts strategically and doesn't answer every comment immediately builds anticipation. Followers value their presence more. People notice when you are missing, and they respect what returns. Being always present costs you respect, authority, energy, strategic advantage, and sometimes your own opportunities. Machiavelli explained, "He who can be scarce can also command attention and respect." Absence isn't avoidance, it's control. It's framing yourself as someone whose time and attention are valuable. The identity shift occurs when you stop equating availability with loyalty or power, when your presence is a tool, not a default, when stepping back amplifies your influence rather than diminishes it. Strategic absence sharpens curiosity. It positions you as someone whose approval, attention, and time are coveted. Master this, and influence chases you. Sometimes, the strongest move is simply to step away. Law 4. The image of vanity. Have you ever tried to persuade someone by appealing to their better nature, only to see it backfire? Tried to motivate someone with ideals or humility, and instead, they became defensive or dismissive. People are driven by pride more than principles. Machiavelli understood this instinctively. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few feel what you really are. Flattery works. Humility rarely does. People respond to admiration of their ego, not appeals to mercy. A tech CEO I studied once gave public praise to a junior team member for innovative work, but framed it subtly around how it reflected the executive's own vision. The executive's approval elevated the employee's profile while reinforcing the CEO's authority. The message was clear: respect the power you serve, and your own position grows. Think about your life. That influencer you admire, that manager or mentor. How often do people respond better to compliments on their vision, their skills, or their ideas than to appeals to fairness or morality? People naturally prioritize their own status. Even in everyday life, this principle holds. Want someone to help a project? Show how it benefits them, their reputation, recognition, or pride. Don't appeal to generosity or loyalty alone. Ego drives action. Ignoring ego costs you cooperation, influence, opportunities, strategic alignment, and sometimes trust. Machiavelli said, "A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interests." Appealing to self-interest, especially through their pride, ensures alignment without risking resentment. The identity shift comes when you stop begging for goodwill and start reflecting others' self-image. Frame your requests around their ambition. Speak to their achievements. Let them see themselves as powerful, smart, and capable, and you benefit from their pride. Master the mirror of narcissism, and influence becomes effortless. People act for you willingly when they see themselves elevated. In the world of power, flattery isn't deceit, it's strategy. Law 5. Master the flow of knowledge. Have you ever noticed how some people always seem to know what's happening before anyone else does? How they control the flow of decisions, even without holding a formal title. Information is power, and the one who controls it holds influence. Machiavelli understood this deeply. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. Those who hoard, filter, and release information strategically shape outcomes. The rest merely react. A political strategist I read about never broadcasted every plan to his team. He shared key updates selectively, shaping perceptions. By controlling timing and access to knowledge, he became indispensable. His advice carried weight because everyone depended on his insight. Think about your life. The colleague who knows all the inside updates. The friend who seems to always understand the next move. They aren't smarter, they're gatekeepers. People respect those who manage what others see and know. Even online, this applies. A content creator who reveals tips or trends selectively gains authority. Followers anticipate their next post. They don't just listen, they depend. Failing to control information costs you influence, respect, negotiating power, opportunities, and sometimes survival in competitive spaces. Machiavelli explained, "He who has first the information can dictate terms to the rest." Knowledge is leverage. Sharing too much too soon dilutes your control. Withholding strategically gives you the upper hand. The identity shift occurs when you stop treating information as mere communication, when you begin using it as influence, when you filter, time, and release selectively. People notice your insight before your actions. They follow your lead without realizing it. Master the art of gatekeeping, and you stop reacting. You start guiding. You decide who knows what, when, and how. Influence becomes effortless because people rely on you to see what they cannot. In the game of power, knowledge isn't just useful, it is the currency of authority. Law 6. Never surpass your teacher's light. Do you ever wonder why the smartest person in the room gets ignored? Why brilliance sometimes backfires? Why some people rise effortlessly while others, equally capable, remain invisible? Power punishes those who make it feel small. This isn't about playing small, it's about playing smart. Machiavelli wrote, "Men in power are quick to punish brilliance in their subordinates, for it reminds them of their own vulnerabilities. It's not cruelty, it's reality. And if you understand it, you can use it to your advantage." A colleague once presented a flawless solution to a senior executive. Confident, polished, undeniable skill. The room went quiet. Weeks later, he was quietly sidelined. His brilliance had threatened authority. He had outshone the master and paid the price. Think about your life. That meeting where you politely corrected someone senior. That moment when your online idea gained attention and suddenly a powerful connection pulled away. Visibility at the wrong altitude triggers defensiveness. Machiavelli said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Brilliance alone isn't enough. If you overshadow, you trigger fear. You make the powerful feel insecure. Power always protects itself. Outshining the master costs you access, trust, protection, advancement, and sometimes survival in the room. A junior employee solved a critical problem quietly. She let her manager take partial credit. That manager became her protector, advocating for her promotion. By elevating him instead of herself, she elevated her own position without risk. Power rewards reinforcement, not challenge. Excellence must be framed. Machiavelli reminded us, men more readily forgive harm than humiliation. To outshine someone silently humiliates them. And humiliation in power circles lingers. The way forward is strategic brilliance. Speak with care. Let your skills shine, but make the powerful feel strong. Ask questions that amplify them. Contribute in ways that enhance their authority. Shine, yes, but wisely. The identity shift is subtle. Stop trying to impress and start making others feel powerful. Access multiplies. Influence grows. Doors open. Closeness to power becomes natural. Never outshine the master is not submission, it's survival, it's patience, it's timing. It's the difference between brilliance that's remembered and brilliance that's destroyed. This is how influence survives long enough to matter. Law 7. The strategy of beneficial rivals. Have you ever watched a rival succeed and realized they were actually helping you? It sounds counterintuitive, but not all enemies are obstacles. Some can be your most strategic allies if handled correctly. Machiavelli said, "A wise ruler should always choose a capable enemy, for he sharpens vigilance and strengthens strategy. Enemies force you to grow, adapt, and discover strength you didn't know you had." A city mayor I studied faced a political rival who constantly criticized every initiative. Instead of responding emotionally, she anticipated his moves, improved her plans, and used his critiques to refine her messaging. When election season came, the rival's attacks had inadvertently highlighted her competence, while he remained consumed by bitterness. Her enemy became the instrument of her rise. Think about your life. That colleague who challenges every idea. That competitor in business who pushes you to innovate. Your enemy might be the reason you grow faster than those around you. Even online, competition works the same. A rival content creator forced another influencer to refine their voice, improve production, and deliver higher value content. What started as tension turned into an unintentional catalyst for success. Ignoring the useful enemy costs you growth, strategy refinement, influence, opportunities, and sometimes relevance. Machiavelli warned, men can be destroyed by those they fear, but they can also be strengthened by those they respect. The key isn't eliminating opposition blindly, it's leveraging it. A useful enemy creates pressure that hones your skills and shapes perception in your favor. The identity shift happens when you stop viewing rivals as purely hostile. When you analyze their strengths and position them as catalysts, not threats, every challenge becomes an advantage. Every critique becomes insight. Master the law of the useful enemy, and you transform opposition into opportunity. You no longer fear rivals, you learn from them, adapt faster, and let their energy elevate your influence. In power, sometimes your greatest growth comes from those who stand against you. Law 8. Play to their fantasy. Have you ever tried to convince someone with facts, only to see them resist, dismiss, or ignore you? Logic alone rarely wins hearts. People act on what they wish were true, their fantasies, not reality. Machiavelli understood this instinctively. Men are driven more by desire than by reason. If you want influence, appeal to what people dream of, not what they fear or see clearly. A luxury brand strategist once told me about a campaign that focused on lifestyle, not product specs. Instead of advertising the material or features of a watch, they marketed the status, adventure, and success it represented. Customers didn't just buy a watch, they bought the fantasy of prestige. Sales skyrocketed. Reality was secondary. Desire ruled. Think about your life. That person you're trying to influence. Are you selling facts or dreams? Are you pointing out logic or appealing to aspirations, identity, and imagined potential? People respond to fantasy because it aligns with who they want to be. Even in everyday relationships, this works. Want someone to support your project? Frame it as a vision where they shine. People invest in possibilities that elevate them, not obligations that benefit you alone. Ignoring fantasy costs you influence, persuasion, loyalty, cooperation, and, sometimes, opportunity. Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both, but it is best to appear what people wish you to be." Appealing to fantasy doesn't mean lying. It means presenting reality in a way that matches desire, taps aspiration, and inspires action. The identity shift happens when you stop relying solely on truth. When you recognize that humans often act on emotion first, logic second. Influence grows when you give people the story they secretly want to believe, not just the facts they need to know. Master this, and your ideas stick. People follow willingly, they commit enthusiastically. In power, reality may be fixed, but perception is a canvas. Paint it wisely. Law 9. The art of transforming emotions. Have you ever noticed how some people can make a crowd feel hope, fear, or excitement just by speaking? How emotions often drive action more than logic. Influence isn't just what you say, it's what you make people feel. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Men are driven more by emotion than by reason. It is easier to manipulate feelings than intellect. True power lies in turning emotions into action. A political campaign strategist once shared a moment where a candidate faced a skeptical town hall. Instead of reciting policies, he connected through stories, personal struggle, triumph, and shared fears. By the end, the audience wasn't just convinced, they were emotionally invested. Hearts and minds had aligned long before facts mattered. Think about your life. That presentation you gave, that conversation with a team or a partner. How often do you focus on data? And how often on the feeling you create? Facts inform. Emotion inspires. Influence thrives on the latter. Even online, the principle holds. A brand that posts purely technical features gets likes. A brand that evokes nostalgia, pride, or desire creates loyalty. Emotional resonance drives action far beyond logic. Ignoring emotional alchemy costs you persuasion, loyalty, influence, connection, and sometimes opportunities. Machiavelli taught, "The wise ruler knows that men judge not by what they see, but by what they feel." Emotional alchemy isn't deception. It's shaping perception, inspiring movement, and crafting resonance. The identity shift comes when you stop relying only on words. When you learn to sense moods, anticipate reactions, and guide feelings toward action. When people feel empowered, anxious, or inspired intentionally, they follow your lead. Master emotional alchemy, and influence becomes effortless. You no longer argue for results. You create experiences that compel them to act. In the game of power, controlling emotion is the most subtle and most unstoppable form of authority. Law 10. Become shapeless. Have you ever tried to stick rigidly to one plan, only to see it collapse under pressure? The more fixed you are, the easier you are to target. Flexibility is power. Machiavelli knew this. He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to change. Formlessness allows you to adapt, survive, and influence without being pinned down. A startup founder I read about constantly shifted strategy based on market trends. Competitors mocked him for indecision, but he thrived. By the time they adjusted, he had already moved to the next opportunity. He was unpredictable, uncatchable, unstoppable. Think about your life. That time you insisted on one approach, one plan, one way of being, and it backfired. Now imagine staying fluid, reading the room, and adapting your approach to each situation. Even in conversations, formlessness works. By not locking into one position, you prevent resistance and open doors for influence. People follow someone who adapts to circumstances, not someone trapped in rigidity. Being rigid costs you opportunities, influence, strategic advantage, and sometimes survival. The identity shift happens when you stop defining yourself by a single approach. Flexibility isn't weakness, it's strategic resilience. When you flow, you survive. When you flow, you control. Machiavelli's lesson is clear. Power belongs to those who can change shape, bend expectation, and remain formless in a world that wants to trap them. Law 11. Make others need you. Have you noticed how some people always seem indispensable? Others rely on them for decisions, insights, and direction. Dependence is influence. The more people need you, the more power you hold. Machiavelli wrote, "The best way to keep power is to make men rely on you. Those who create dependence are never expendable. Those who give everything away for free often become irrelevant." A senior editor I read about always positioned herself as the only person who could finalize complex projects. She offered guidance selectively and taught others just enough to function, but never enough to replace her. Her team respected her, followed her direction, and sought her approval consistently. Think about your life. That friend, colleague, or mentor everyone turns to for guidance. Their influence comes not from brute force, but from necessity. People are loyal when they cannot do without you. Even in small ways, dependence works. Offering selective advice, exclusive access, or specialized skills ensures people seek you out, respect your time, and value your presence. Ignoring dependence costs you authority, control, influence, opportunities, and, sometimes, your relevance. The identity shift comes when you stop giving everything away. Be generous, yes, but leave room for reliance. When people need you to thrive, your influence is secure. Machiavelli's lesson is timeless. Power isn't just about what you do, it's about ensuring others can't do without you. Law 12. Control the options. Have you ever noticed how the most powerful people don't just make decisions, they shape the choices available to others? When you control the options, you control the outcome. Machiavelli understood this clearly. The one who can command the choices of men can command their actions. Influence is strongest when others believe they are deciding freely, but the range of choices favors you. As CEO, I studied framed proposals so that every board member felt they were making the decision, while every option led to the same strategic result. No one realized the control behind the scenes. The illusion of choice created loyalty, compliance, and seamless execution. Think about your life. Negotiations, conversations, meetings. How often do people react to options you present rather than act on their own agenda? When you frame possibilities, you guide behavior without forcing it. Even in everyday life, this principle works. Want someone to agree to a plan? Offer limited choices that all lead to the same desired outcome. People feel empowered, yet you remain in control. Failing to control options costs you influence, outcomes, authority, strategic advantage, and, sometimes, the result itself. The identity shift happens when you stop presenting all possibilities blindly. When you design choices deliberately, you guide action subtly. Machiavelli's lesson is clear. True power lies not in coercion, but in framing the game so others play into your hands. Law 13. Total self-reliance. Have you ever felt trapped by others' expectations, obligations, or opinions? Power isn't just about influence over others, it's about mastery over yourself. True autonomy is radical. Machiavelli understood this deeply. The wise man is always master of his own fate. Those who depend on others for approval, direction, or validation surrender their freedom and, ultimately, their power. A writer I followed refused every project that didn't align with his vision. He lost short-term income but gained complete creative control. Over time, his reputation, audience, and influence soared. He became untouchable because he answered to no one but himself. Think about your life. That moment you compromised just to please someone. That time you said yes when every instinct screamed no. Each concession chips away at autonomy, and with it, authority. Even small choices matter. Choosing where to invest time, who to collaborate with, which ideas to pursue all are exercises in reclaiming independence. Radical autonomy isn't isolation. It's the strategic refusal to hand your power to others. Failing to claim autonomy costs you freedom, influence, respect, opportunities, and, sometimes, your identity. The identity shift happens when you stop seeking permission to live. When you align decisions with your values, priorities, and vision, you reclaim power. Machiavelli's lesson is timeless. True authority begins with mastery of self. Be untethered, be autonomous, be unstoppable. Machiavelli was not evil, he was honest. He looked into the abyss of human behavior and didn't blink. He saw us clearly, driven by fear, by ego, by the need for security. To use these laws is not to abuse people, it is to understand them better than they understand themselves. It is to speak to their shadows, not just their masks. When you apply these laws, the dynamic shifts instantly. You stop being invisible. You stop waiting for a savior, and you become the strategist. You realize that powerful people are not special. They are simply players who learned the rules earlier than you did. They are waiting for someone real, someone who understands the game to walk through the door. That someone is you. The 13 laws are not chains, they are keys. But holding keys is useless if you lack the discipline to turn the lock. This level of psychological mastery is not a destination, it is a daily practice. The world is designed to put you back to sleep, to make you compliant, passive, obedient, to turn you into a pawn. If you refuse to return to the herd, if you are ready to sharpen your mind until it cuts through the noise, then make the choice right now. Do not just watch and agree. Click the subscribe button not to support the channel, but to make a contract with yourself. A signal that you are done being a spectator. Welcome to the inner circle. If you haven't watched my previous video, 10 Dark Society Rules You Must Break Now, you're missing the foundation that makes these rules actually work. Think of this video as strategy. That one is your armor. You'll find it linked below and on the end screen.